I think we're going to start to see violence from the far left.
If the far left started to get violent, this has like been in the back of my mind, and it's so weird because I want to say like I don't think this would ever happen, but like
These people have been sold a narrative that capitalism has destroyed their lives, that we'll never get Medicare for all, that the environment is being destroyed, and Democrats are no different than Republicans. I do think that there is a group of people out there that's being told this narrative, and it's just being grifted upon, just like the QAnoners. Think if you're told that stuff all day long and you're just around people who saying, what's the point, man? Nothing's ever going to change. You got some problems at home, you might do something stupid. I just wanted to ask you about this whole Twitch politics space, man. Like, I think you kind of float above the whole thing, and I've been around about 3 years, and I've seen it from its infancy to, I think when you came on Big Brain Podcast was when the Twitch politics scene started to exist. Would you agree?
when I went on the Big Brain Podcast. Wait, what was that?
Mindwaves' show.
Oh, like when all the smaller people?
The first time you went on, that was like the first like you created the Twitch politics space in that moment, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. But I think the big problem is that, like, it sounds really toxic to say this, but like conservatives were crazy and fun and self-destructive as fuck, but you could fight with them infinitely, and those fights will last until people like are traumatized and have to leave. Like that's what happened with like JF, that's happened with Tonka Saw, Andy Warski, like all these people stayed around until they ate themselves. But like the lefty people are way different, I think, because the amount of infighting I think it's actually higher. And there are no consistent teams or lines or anything drawn anywhere, and they're constantly trying to get everybody, like, get themselves banned and canceled and destroyed. And you look and you'll see like all these people, and it's like, you're like a socialist, communist, right? And you're like, yeah. And it's like, that guy's like a socialist, communist, right? And like, yeah. And it's like, why do all of you hate each other? Because like I don't even know where the strict alliances are anymore in the politics space. It feels like everybody is fighting with everybody, like especially, and you see this happen a lot. I don't know if Vosh is in it because I don't watch his stuff, but like it seems like when left-leaning people get big, they immediately cut all their contacts. So like when Hassan got big, he only wants to network with bigger people. He's never going on like a show, even though when he was smaller, like I guess like me and even smaller, he would go on every show that he could. He was on Trainwrecks, he went on Mindwaves, he went on all sorts of stuff. And then Mike from PA, Central Committee, when he got big, he didn't want to go on any shows. He didn't go on any panels. He doesn't talk to anybody. He only wants to like clout farm or whatever, right? Or be with Hassan. I don't know if Vosh still does debates. I know he kind of does panels every now and then. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it seems like basically lefties are infinitely infighting, and then when one of them climbs out of the bucket of lobsters from all the other ones, or crabs, then they, as soon as they're out, they're like, fuck you guys, I'm gone. And then everybody else is just stuck like perpetually fighting and killing themselves over like, yeah, crazy shit. I don't know, it seems really silly to me.
It's true. It's true. I don't know what their deal is. They've got some weird idea that they're going to woke scold their way into power. But the only way you grow is by coalition building, expanding your group, not by winnowing the group. It's crazy. I don't know what their deal is. But yeah, they're always like finding out who's whiter than the other person and all this nonsense, and trying to determine who's the bad guy. And I can't believe Bo of the Fifth Column did something 20 years ago. How dare we judge him by what he does right now? You know?
Okay, wait. Actually, maybe, I don't know if we'll fight on this. That Bo guy did some really fucked up shit, and it's really funny. This is probably the funniest thing in all the politics space to me. That Bo guy probably should have gotten his ass roasted, but I think he survived his canceling because Mike tried to do it, and Mike was so bad at it because he was so fucking hungry to get the first video out that I think Bo survives only because of that, because of how horrible Mike's job was at that. Unironically, but... Yeah, no, Mike fell flat on that. I think he ended up net negative on the YouTube subscribers for his foray into YouTube there. He also recently forgot who I am. I've only hung out with him 3 times in person for a couple hours. And he doesn't know who I am anymore. Yeah, he does it all the time. If you're not big enough, he wants nothing to do with it. He's only after like big targets and shit.
Oh man, I for a long time I was angry at all these people that were obnoxious in our space, but I've come to the realization that nobody's going anywhere. Like you said, like you just can't cancel anybody at some point. And so, yeah, a lot of these people are idiots, but there are idiots, you know? And love them or hate them, boy, they're a lot of fun, and boy, like they do such stupid things like sneaking in those Project Veritas guys to AOC's event.
And the way that he titled his stream, like what did he say? Like I shouted at Project Veritas to go away to protect AOC. That was so funny. Yeah. And he's like walking around awkwardly in the background, like
perhaps misleading. Thank you so much. Sorry, when an elected representative hides behind her fame and refuses to actually stand and be accountable, you know, this is the only recourse we have. Project Veritas, we expose everyone, sir.
Wondering how it's even possible that a black person wasn't on his side on some fucking issues. Oh my god, that was so funny. Holy shit.
Well, Destiny, he had a BLM shirt on.
Yeah, he had a BLM shirt, true.
I fell for this guy. Black Lives Matter shirt.
He's a black guy with a BLM shirt. Dude, you must be a liberal, right, dog? Holy shit. Are you down with the fucking resistance?
And then I was super mad.
He was black. He had a BLM shirt. He's got to be an ally.
And I called him a scumbag. They edited it out.
I'm sure you did, Mike.
Oh man, I the only person I see that helps some of the smaller guys is Vosh. I do see him kind of palling around with some of the newer people. Yeah, I don't watch his content. I don't know anything about him, but I do see him popping up on the smaller spaces. But you know, that's where I constantly tell people, like, you have helped so many people because you selflessly have rated people, and like you're bringing me on your channel right now. Like none of these big leftist content creators do this. It's so strange to me.
Yeah, because
this should be like,
once they start climbing, they all want to go up. So
yeah, like why do you think you feel? Why do you think you're different in that regard?
I mean, like, this is gonna sound like I'm just jerking myself, but like I genuinely care about and I like am interested in all the things that I talk about on my stream. Like these all, like, if you met me in real life, like I would argue, I would have all the same positions or whatever. Sometimes I wonder when it comes to the people that are here, I don't know if anybody actually cares about any of this shit. Like I know, for instance, like the Serfs, I know he doesn't genuinely care about anything that he talks about, because every time we talk about anything that he talks about, he doesn't know anything about anything he talks about, right? He doesn't care at all about indigenous people. He's just like climbing their gravestones to get more Twitch fame and on other shows. Like there are so many people where I'll get into an argument about something they're like ready to cancel me over, and I find out that like the article that they're ready to cancel, they haven't even read the article. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. It's like, how can you really care about this much if you don't even know what you're talking about, right? So I don't know. I think a lot of it is, did you go to college?
I did, yeah. I got a business degree.
Oh, okay. I went to school for an art degree, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I went to school for music because I love music. I super love music, okay? I had a job at a casino, and I thought I could make that as like my full-time work, and then I would go to school because I really, really, really love music. When I went to music school, one of the things that really disappointed me was that like of my whole class, I would say that like 5% of people were there because they super love music, and everybody else felt like they were in a club, and it was actually so horrible. So like most people were just there to like kind of talk shit, like gossip, like hang out between whatever, talk about like whatever memes, and like very few people were there because they're like I remember this one kid, Jeffrey Malashuk, this awesome saxophone player. He'd be like walking down the hallway and he'd be like, oh dude, I just found this fucking song, check this out, and he'd like give me his like iPod, and I would like, because we had those back then, and he'd like give me his headphones, she'd be like, oh, this is awesome, you know? Like very few people were like that. Generally it was just like a big club. And when I look at like this kind of like the online politics space, I think it's the same thing. I don't think anybody actually, or not many people, I think you care. I think Hutch cares. I love Hutch. Hutch is so cool. Hutch is so cool because he doesn't have any reason to be cool. He plays video games, and every video gamer has dog shit takes on politics, but he doesn't. He's really smart.
True.
Yeah, and I think you care. Obviously, you seem to care a lot about it too. But I think everybody in this space, or a lot of people in this space, are just here because it's like a club. They just want to like chill and like have friends and stuff, which is okay. But then they do it on the backs of like political issues that I really care about, and it's really frustrating sometimes. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's so sad because it's like our interest has been hijacked by these people, and they suck all the energy out of the room with their negativity, and they're more interested in fighting with each other and what can they do to grow and get bigger. So it's pretty sad, but yeah, because there's so much lost opportunity. These people, that they could be doing stuff, but they do absolutely nothing, just literally nothing. I mean, maybe party for Bernie once in a while, but that's about it, you know?
Yeah. Whatever also simultaneously grows their own platform. Like that's the only stuff they're really interested in.
Yeah, it's really sad, you know, like I don't know. But it is what it is, and I do think that it's net positive with people actually caring about politics, and it kind of forces people like you and I guess, to make it more interesting, to get people interested in this subject. So
yeah, I guess it's really hard to compete against like edutainment, when certain people wear like political labels as like an aesthetic, it can be really hard to compete with those people, because like if I wanted like 20,000 viewers, I would just come on stream every day and pull up like 4 articles about like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and just talk about how much I hate billionaires all day, and that's like that drives so many views. Like people love that, like really shallow but really kind of like aesthetically appealing engagement with political stuff. It's kind of like, this is like anecdotal, and maybe it's not true everywhere, but like I have met almost so many girls. I don't know, are you married or anything?
No, I'm single.
Oh, I don't know if you do Tinder like in LA, but there are so many fucking girls that have like socialists and shit on their profile, and as soon as you start asking them at all about their political beliefs, they don't have like any strong feelings about anything. Like they don't give a fuck about it. Now it might be the same with guys too. I don't know, but like I'll match with the girls. Like I'll be like, oh shit, you're a socialist? Are you actually like super opposed to markets and shit? And they're just like, no, but like I supported Bernie. I thought he was cool. And I was like, oh shit, so you don't like abolish capitalism? Like I don't know, I just don't like billionaires. Like okay, you have no strong feelings about this at all. Like whatever, yeah.
Well, I think that's most people, honestly. Sadly, they just kind of vote every 4 years, maybe care a little bit. Trump got them a little more interested, but the socialist leftist thing is kind of like the edgy teenager stuff now, right? I mean, instead of liking Napalm Death or some death metal band, now you're into socialism and you're edgy. So
kind of, it feels like.
But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And I'm pretty gentle to the leftists, I think there's a lot of misinformation going around there too, right? A lot of these people think Nancy Pelosi's the devil and stuff, and it's like, Jesus, man, they got Jimmy Dore, for Christ's sakes, leading the charge. People like Mike. So I just think there's a lot of misinformation, and so I try to be gentle with them. Sure. As condescending as that sounds, try to be a little nice to them. I know you're in a different position. You're getting punched every way you can imagine.
I'm really curious because it seems like if you check like the BreadTube subreddit, like that place is dead. I'm really curious after we're done with the BreadTube stuff, what is going to be like the next thing, right? We came from like the skeptics to here. Like what's going to be like the next online political trend? I'm super curious about that.
Yeah, I think it sounds full of myself, but I think like being a liberal is kind of the next thing. Not so. Neoliberal, but like Biden liberal, like moderate, like bipartisan, like let's come together, like, you know what I mean?
Maybe, we'll see.
Well, I don't know if it's that sexy or that interesting, but it just seems like that's what the public wants.
Maybe. Are there any people that are, at least in the online sphere, are there any people online that are popularly doing that right now?
No. That's the thing. Like, it's ripe for opportunity, I think. I'm trying to do it, but I'm just a small little fish. I'm trying to be very positive. I'm trying to promote bipartisanship. Doesn't mean I support Republicans, but when they do something good, just like anybody, when your neighbor who does everything wrong finally does something nice, you say thank you,
True.
So, I don't know. I think...
I remember I tweeted that out after the FDA approval. I saw like a bunch of people that were shitting on Republicans. Like, listen, dude, if a Republican got vaccinated after the FDA approved vaccines, you should celebrate the fuck out of it. Like, if you did it, like, mad respect. Like, at least you fucking did it. Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Exactly. So I if we want them to change, we gotta support them when they do something good. So I don't know. It's a good question though. What is the next trend? I think politics is kind of like slowed down a little bit without Trump. Maybe the QAnon stuff. Here's something I think is going to happen, and tell me what you think about this. I think we're going to start to see violence from the far left.
Did you see that?
Because
I don't want to call it an Antifa shooting because I don't know the details yet. But have you? Did you see the shooting of that kid recently? Of the kid that shot? There was like a group of people walking, and some guy turned around. He ran back with a handgun, and he shot like 4 or 5 shots. Now, I saw people on Twitter calling it an Antifa person. I don't know if it was or not, so I don't want to repeat that. Have you haven't heard anything about this?
I have not heard about that, no.
Okay. Because, yeah, if the far left started to get violent, this has, like, been in the back of my mind, and it's so weird because I want to say, like, I don't think this would ever happen, but, like, if it did, God, that would be so horrible. I'm worried sometimes that, like, we swung so far left that there's going to be a really violent recorrection. And it's going to be like the era of the, like, especially, like, the things that scare me the most are, one, if the Antifa stuff gets out of control, but two, something that I think more and more Americans are waking up to, the cancel culture stuff is actually insanely fucking cringe. And I think even people on the left are starting to be like, bro, this is some dumb shit. And I think that I don't want to see that, like, echo throughout society, and then people are like, true, we need to, like, be all Republican again, you know? That would be really sad.
Yeah. I think for me, it's more about these people have been sold a narrative that capitalism has destroyed their lives, that we'll never get Medicare for all, that the environment is being destroyed, and Democrats are no different than Republicans. I do think that there is a group of people out there that's being told this narrative, and it's just being grifted upon, just like the QAnoners, because there's people out there that supported Trump and don't want to believe Biden won legitimately. So there's news orgs and there's people online that will sell them that narrative, right? Because they want to make their money off them. Same thing on the left. You're seeing people who will tell these people that the Democrats are terrible for you. The world's not going to survive because Democratic policy. So that's why I think maybe we could start to see some sort of violence come out. Because think if you're told that stuff all day long and you're just around people who are saying, what's the point, man? Nothing's ever going to change. Biden's gonna be in office for 7 more years, you know. Like you if you got some problems at home, you might do something stupid.
Maybe, yeah.
So that might be something. I don't know, but the right wingers are taking over the domestic terrorism anyway. So they've got that handled right now. Did you see that story of the guy who drove his truck onto Congress with the bomb, his finger on the bomb?
Oh, I saw part of his part of that live stream, but I think they got completely resolved, didn't it?
Yeah, after a few hours, he probably had to go to the bathroom or something, so he came out quietly, and the bomb was nothing.
Wait, are we thinking of a different bomb? We're thinking of a different bomb. Are you talking about the one that happened like a day or two ago?
No, this happened a couple weeks ago.
Oh, the one a couple weeks ago. I thought the police surrounded his car and everything. Oh, that's why he got out.
Yeah, they just stood there and talked to him for a while, and he streamed on Facebook, and then he came out of his truck a few hours later.
Oh, gotcha.
What happened recently? I didn't see anything about a bomb. I don't remember.
Wasn't very recently? Didn't they find a truck with like explosives in it near Capitol Hill or something? Am I making this up? Did this not happen within the past week?
No, I think
there was a bomb
they arrested a guy.
And the DNC guy was yesterday. Oh, near the Democratic National Convention or something, maybe?
Yeah. So there's on September 18th, I believe, there's a rally for the January 6th political prisoners, quote unquote.
Oh, God. Okay.
And DC's talking about putting a fence up again, and they caught some guy who had like neo-Nazi stuff or something in his car. He had a bunch of knives. That's the only thing I saw, but maybe I missed the bomb thing.
Mm-hmm. That was probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, man. But I think there's a lot of positive stuff happening out there, too. And that's why I focus on that in my community. I just try to, we can always talk about the negative, but I think people are a product of the content they consume. So if they're going to watch my stream or your stream, I think it's always important that we try to leave them with positive stuff. And that's why I see you doing that all the time. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, when it happens, yeah. I hope, yeah. Have you heard the data on that child tax credit, how incredibly effective it was on everything? In terms of reducing childhood poverty and food security and shit for poor families?
The only stats I saw were that it helped reduce or not have a bunch of people become food insecure during the pandemic, but also that it was projected to reduce child poverty by half, which was there's 11 million kids that are in are food insecure or whatever in poverty. And so that's 5.5 million kids out of poverty instantly, which is huge because we don't punish kids for their parents' actions. Did you see some stats that to back it up since it went into effect in July?
I think something was, I feel like I saw something on Twitter recently. Again, I haven't been keeping up with the news as much, but I feel like something was tweeted recently that showed that the overall effectiveness, it did end up going out and the way that the payments went out and everything ended up being an incredibly effective thing. I thought something different had come out about that, but it might not have been. I might be making that up. I follow the NetLack guy on Twitter, and he tweets out a lot of random econ shit a lot. So.
Yeah, no, I mean you're getting a lot of info, so I don't blame you. But I just saw some little headlines saying that they were surprised at how few people suffered during the pandemic as far as food insecurity, and they did attribute the child tax credit, and that's part of the $3.5 trillion bill right now is to expand that for another 4 years, I believe. So I think that's could be one of the biggest things the Biden administration does. I mean, we're talking $300 per kid under 6, 250 over. How do you think like that would have helped you when you were starting out with your kid? Would that have been pretty huge?
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure like, this is like, it's kind of funny because we talk about Yang so much, but it's essentially a form of UBI for people. $300 a month, that's your car payment plus insurance, depending on what kind of car you have. Like that's literally your full car payment and insurance. And the fact that you can get that in advance, that's amazing. Like, yeah, that's a really, really, really big deal, I think. So
yeah, and Republicans were pretty on board for it too. That may be something that we can pull out separately if the infrastructure bill doesn't go well, and get the Republicans on board, because they're pretty on board with that. You're right; it does show how far we've come as a country with UBI, because it essentially is. Republicans like it because they love the family. They want to promote having families and the Christian values, and this is one way to do that.
It's also, no offense to poor people, but poor people suck at using money, and having those payments come to you throughout the year instead of at a lump sum at the end is so incredibly positive. For anybody that has ever worked like a working class job before, if you want to see poor people at their absolute worst, it is in fucking April when they get their tax refunds, because goddamn do they waste it on some stupid shit every single fucking time. Holy shit. As soon as those tax refunds come out, everybody's getting a new TV. Some people buy fucking new cars and they have like payments they can't afford. Like all the dumb new shit comes out and it's like, oh, what are you doing? So having those payments come to you like month by month by month, I bet even if it's the same amount of money at the end, which it's not, it got boosted, especially if you've got a kid that's 4 and under. Even if it was the same amount of money, I think that's an incredibly positive thing to like spread those payments out. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's something new. It's exciting. I think it's really cool. I was going to say, another big thing in that infrastructure bill is 2 years of pre-K and 2 years of college. Right now, the division between Democrats and Republicans is not really along race lines anymore. It's education level.
Yeah.
And this is why we've got to expand education and pull people out of that conservative death trap.
Yeah, maybe you just got to be careful, because there's still like a lot of that mistrust. I guess like high school and lower, people don't really think. I guess Republicans have a separate space in their mind between that and like colleges, like academia, but yeah,
we still have to fight against that liberal brainwashing idea that they put out there, which is sad, but I don't know how to push back on that one, honestly. I just think education in general is good, and the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the 1.2 trillion one, has 45 billion for broadband, which there's a lot of people out there in America who go to the library still to get on the internet.
Yeah, I hate when we talk about so much of the conversation in America is like middle class people, and I can tell by the way that they talk. Education is so fucking important. One of the biggest reasons why it's important is because it makes it so that both family members can work. Being able to unlock that other parent to be able to go to work because their kid doesn't have to be watched all day is actually so fucking important for working class people. Not to say that like school is daycare, but it is kind of.
It is.
Yeah, that's really important. And also for internet expansion, the big deal about internet expansion isn't so that you can go from watching 720p to like 1080p fucking streams on Netflix. It's because there's still a lot of like poor neighborhoods and shit where the access to internet is either not there or is incredibly fucked. One of the things that we saw during the coronavirus pandemic was that like if you're like a kid like mine, your school is equipped with massive tech. People can like every student in my kid's school has like their own like school like loaned iPads and shit. Like they're fine. But if you go to like Omaha North, or if you go to like a poorer school in my city, you are fucked. A lot of these people that live in these houses, they don't even have an internet connection in the home. And now these kids are supposed to be doing distance learning, and their parents are stuck at home and they can't go out to work. Like this is like a dominoes, a series of disasters for the household. And I think people need to look at things like through like how does this affect the entire family, and not just like we can go to school. Not saying you did that or whatever, but like there's a lot of compounded issues there when people can't go to school and stuff.
Yeah, people are like, where's my Google Fiber? It's like, dude, this isn't about your Google Fiber, man. Like, chill. We got to get the internet first to a lot of people out there, We got to get the lead out of their water pipes. Come on, man. Chill. That's why when I hear people talk about, where's my student loan forgiveness? It's like, dude, nobody gives a shit about your $50,000 in student loans. Like, we're more concerned with people who are completely screwed right now. God, relax.
Yeah.
I think Biden might actually relieve some student loans towards the midterms too. We got a lot of tricks. We got a lot of cards up our sleeves. You know what I mean? To make things better.
People talk about that, but I think we're still undecided. Or my understanding is that we're still undecided on the legality of that. If he can actually do it.
Yes.
I know that he's forgiven about. I think it's like 10 billion. It's not a lot, but I think he's forgiven about 10 billion for like disabled students and stuff. But I don't know where the legality is in terms of like doing like widespread forgiveness. I don't know if he's able to do that. I don't know if that question was ever settled legally, but
they're still looking into it at the Department of Education and the Department of Justice to see, just to make sure. But yeah, he's forgiven a bunch of student loans, mostly for people that went to crap universities like ITT Tech that ripped them off and then they lost their accreditation, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and you know, these are people who are in debt. Now they can't do anything. And Biden his campaign ran on relieving $10,000 in student loans. That's it. But he said, I even want Congress to do it. And that's because people who have about $10,000 in student loans are people who went to college and dropped out. They don't have the degree to make more money, but they have to make the student loan payments. Predominantly black and brown people. So he knows where the problem is. And it's not the angry person who plays Overwatch all day long in their studio apartment in Manhattan with $40,000 in student loans. Like that, those people are going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of things he can do to change the tide. But the economy's white hot right now. So the idea of relieving student loans now, especially with the housing market, like what are people going to do with their money except make the housing market even worse?
Yeah, that is true. Actually, that's pretty spooky. Do you know why? I don't know if you know the answers, because I haven't gone digging for the answer yet. Do you know why our labor force participation is so low right now, or why there are so many job openings and everything?
Yeah, I mean the pandemic obviously changed.
So the issue is that there's job openings. They're there,
yes.
And then there's a lot of people that aren't getting jobs. It doesn't seem like it was the unemployment insurance, because in places where it was cut, people didn't go back to work. Is this like? I'm just curious if you have an idea why is it persisting? Because there's open jobs and there's people not working, but they're not getting jobs. Do you have any idea like what is going on, or what the?
Well, there's a bunch of reasons, but a couple of them, let's see if I can rattle some off. But number one, the pandemic made people rethink their line of work.
I've heard
like,
this,
you know, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And the expanded unemployment benefits just ended like a week ago.
I think some states, weren't there some Republican states that ended them early?
They did, yeah.
And I think on those states, the data, because people were looking very keenly, because they're like, okay, well, is this the reason why? Because if it is, that needs to stop. Unfortunately, you can't not work forever. But it seemed like in the states where the UI was cut early, it doesn't really seem like it had the impact on unemployment that people thought it would. You didn't see all these people running back to work, so it doesn't seem like that was the case.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think the facts were that unemployment went down about 0.5% in those states, and it went up like 2% in states that kept it, something like that. So very minor change there that didn't make it worth it, because a lot of people suffered for sure. You know, a lot of people saved the money, the stimulus payments they got, and they made a lot of money on unemployment too. Remember, at one point, people were getting like $400 extra a week or $600 extra a week. You know, so I think people have a little money stored up. Here in California, we're going to get a rebate, and people have already got it, like $1,100 for some families. So there's some money sloshing around out there. People aren't so desperate. You don't see those food bank lines like we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, right? Like the government did a good job of taking care of the people. So that's why I think people are a little hesitant to get back out there. The Delta variant is just annihilating the population. I mean, we're almost up to 2,000 people dying a day right now. This thing is a monster.
Yeah, and we haven't even fully opened up yet too. Like people keep saying like it's not that bad right now. It's not, and it's like, yeah, it's. I mean, like it sucks, but it's not that bad right now. But like, can you imagine when everything gets fully opened again? Like, are we going to be losing 4,000 to 5,000 people every day for like just forever? Is that like the? I don't know.
Right.
That's really weird to think about.
So, and this is why the mandates are necessary at this point. Like, we've got to get things turned around. We cannot and I think the death count and the infection rate is really why Biden put the mandate out there. It's not about the economy and like getting back to our way of life. We're losing 1,800 people a day right now. So somebody's got to do something. Yeah. That's not acceptable to sit there and be like, yeah, just 2,000 people dead a day in America from this thing that we can totally prevent. Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but people are gonna the unemployment rate is going down slowly. People are having to be paid more, so workers are in a power position right now, which is something Biden is very proud of. So yeah, the economy's doing okay. Inflation is up, but it's decelerating. There was a report that came out today that shows it's still going up, but much smaller than it was in the earlier months. So gas prices are going to start coming down. I think things are really turning. I'm optimistic.
Yeah, we'll see. All the old problems are still there, and then everything is like wildly exacerbated. And yeah, who knows? I don't know. I don't make any predictions right now because the whole world is so insane. But we'll see what happens. Yeah.